What's up, everyone? I hope you all are having a wonderful and blessed day. And if not, I do pray. Oops, sorry, that was my mic stand. I do hope and pray that it all gets better because you guys deserve it. We all need a good day every once in a while. And I would like to say thank you for stopping by the channel and checking out today's video. It means a lot to me and I do appreciate it. Now, if you're enjoying the type of content that you're seeing here and you wouldn't mind continuing to help support not only me but the channel as well, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell icon so you can stay updated on all of my future content. Now, today we are going to be talking about the basics of combat mechanics for Marvel's Midnight Suns so that you guys can be informed on just how everything works. Well, not everything, just how the basis of things works so that you won't be as confused and lost when you pick up the game, because I know there's quite a lot of newcomers that are coming into the turn-based and tactical genre that might be a little bit lost. So hopefully this video can help you out. The first section that I do want to start in, right, will be card types, and we're going to kick it off with the three main card types, which are quite possibly the most important. So every hero will have three types of cards. Attack cards, which are meant to damage enemies, and all attack cards will grant one heroism at base when used, and some can carry various effects like taunt, knockback, stun, chain, vulnerable, and more. Skill cards will provide a variety of things like extra damage buffs, permanent damage buffs, general buffs and debuffs, drawing extra cards, and more. Skill cards also generate heroism, and they generate more heroism than attack cards, which definitely makes them great for setting up heroic cards. And speaking of those, heroic cards, which are not only the third type, but also some of the strongest cards in game, including some of the most flashy, powerful, decisive, and devastating attacks and skills that you're going to come across. Now, each hero will have 8 of their own cards inside of a 24 card deck because 8, 16, 24, 3 heroes to a team. And the deck requirements are you must have 8 cards. And you must have at least one card of each type in the deck for each character, otherwise it won't be viable for combat. Now, next up are bonus mission cards, right? Which will drop in a mission after you defeat an enemy. You're probably going to see it here in this. You're probably going to see it here in this footage, just to like better help it. See, there go, boom, right there. There go one card, and then if I'm right, boom, there go another card. So those are what the bonus mission cards are, right? Now they could vary in different types of effects. Like, for example, you can get one that could grant all heroes 80 block and 1 counter, or you could heal all heroes and grant one resist. But these cards are primarily only used as one-offs. They're called bonus mission cards because they only show up in missions. Like, once you use them, they're gone. But you don't have to use them by like not ever seeing them again. Like, if that's the case, because I know some people might think that. The cards show up. If you get it, you can use it to your advantage, or you can just leave it sitting in your hand. Or if you don't want it, you can just like not kill the enemy, or just leave them alone, or just simply don't use the card if you get it. But either way, nothing bad will come from you not ever using the card in a fight. And you more than likely you'll see it in a future mission down the line, so you don't really have to worry about that. Now, moving over to combat items. Now, combat items are essentially the same as bonus mission cards, except you can actually make these cards, get them, and bring them into battle with you from the Abbey. You can find them in arcane chests, you can craft them in the item bench, you can craft them in Agatha's cauldron, or you can even get them from like completing rewards and mysteries around the Abbey and such, right? Now, these cards can vary with effects like having heroes damage cards gain life steal for 2 turns, or getting an extra redraw, or getting 2 heroism and such, right? These combat items, again, do work just like the bonus mission items. They're gone after 1 use. So I would say, if you have the materials needed to make them, go ahead and stock up on as many as these items as you can, as many as you can make in a day in the game's time, so that you'll never be able to run out. I think the most that you can have at max is 3. You could have 3 in your slot, but you do have to upgrade, but you do have to do the research to unlock the other 2 slots. Now let's say, for example, if you have a support card that you're not trying to use this mission, but if you don't use it this mission, you're not going to get the success rate that you want. Doctor Strange can help with that, right? Here's an example. So Doc has a specific ability to restore a combat item that you use in that same mission as a card for him. His ability lets you restore a combat item. So you can get that card back, you can keep it, take it back with you when you finish the mission, or you can use it again to help you out again. It's completely up to you, but just so y'all know that little tidbit of information. Last in this section are hero combo cards. Now, hero combo cards are cards you only get after reaching a certain friendship with everyone as a whole. Once you get it, that hero combo is then added on as an extra card to the deck. Now, these can be improved with various effects. Well, let me not say improved. They can come with various effects down the line that I believe is dependent on how like these characters, are built and their friendship levels. For example, like if you build up Blade to a certain friendship level, like let's say 3, for example, every all combo cards will now provide deal bleed or such that. But for the cards itself, as an example, let's say if you have Blade and Captain Marvel, Blade and Captain Marvel will both gain a counter after using this hero combo. If you have Spider-Man and Ghost Rider, both of them, well, actually, no. That card, when used by both of them, if it KOs an enemy, they will explode for an extra 57 damage, damaging all things in the surrounding area. Just so you guys and girls all know that. So the next section that we're going to be getting into here will be environmental attacks, which will this is actually the shortest part of the video. So now, cards are not your only source of damage. The battlefield can just as easily be a weapon as well. As you can clearly see in the footage, you see me going crazy with Spider-Man doing triple kick flips and all over the arena and stuff. Things like generators, ley lines, barrel drops, and even other enemies can all be an extra source of damage, right? Things like drops, however, will grant you an instant KO, and something like a generator will stun that enemy until the turn is over. So if you have any cards that do extra damage to stun enemies, that's a perfect setup right there. I have one of those cards for my Hunter, Light Hunter to be exact. So now, environmental attacks, they do cost heroism to use, but they don't take up any card plays. So as long as you have the heroism to pay for it, you can take full advantage of that. There are combat items, however, that can even lower the cost it takes to use environment items, therefore giving you more options. Spider-Man, as a decent example, excels in this area because he can deal increased damage in this area a lot better than other heroes can. Through his passive and active skills, he can use the environment without spending heroism. His passive even grants him the chance to have the amount that he paid to use an environmental attack refunded back to him whenever he does that kind of attack. The world is definitely your playground, and it is up to you on how you want to use it. And one thing I would like to say to all of my Spidey players out there, you are free to play the game however you want to. It's your game. You paid your money for it. Do whatever. If you do play Spidey, I do encourage you to at least try to work in environmental stuff with whatever it is you're doing with him just in general, because the damage output that comes from the stuff that he can do is a lot, and it's pretty fun. Now, moving on to the next section, we're going to be talking about injuries. So injuries are insanely important in this game, right? Because if not managed, they can seriously impact your heroes in a very negative fashion. Now, over in XCOM, you had injuries, but you also had permadeath. And it's a bit different because in this Midnight Suns, we have superheroes, right? We don't have simple soldiers and grunts that are easily disposable and can be replaced. Like, these are seasoned vets that we are dealing with. Some newcomers as well, but still strong enough in their own right that they're not just a simple throwaway character. So heroes have a chance to gain injuries in combat once their health gets too low. And there are 3 different kinds of injuries. You have mild, moderate, and then severe. Now, whenever a hero gains an injury, it won't take effect until their next mission with it. You can take heroes into battle still injured, but each time that they go into battle with that injury, that hero, not only will it take longer for them to recover, but that hero will gain a serious random debuff that's going to be attached to them, and it won't leave unless they get time to rest and heal. And that random debuff will change every mission they go on. Now, there is a way to essentially speed this whole process up, right? And that's through the use of a very special feature known as combat therapy. So by working with Nico Minoru, best character in the game, and completing her research mission, you can unlock combat therapy, which will proceed to speed up the recovery of any hero that is currently in it at that given time, so that they can get back to fighting faster. It doesn't matter what kind of injury it is, you throw them into combat therapy, they'll be ready to go in a day's worth of time in game. Because you gotta remember, the game does run on its own day and night cycle. So, but just in general, just make sure to take care of your team. Like, don't let them get injured as much as you possibly can if you have something to say about it. And also take care of yourself too. All right. Eat healthy and drink more water, or you might die. Next, we're gonna be going over into the enemy types. New section. So the enemy types, right, in Midnight Suns can definitely vary from the type of titles that they have to what they can do and what effects they can come with and more. So first up are the minions, right, the grunts essentially. Now all minions will die in one hit. It doesn't matter how the hit is applied, a single tick of damage will take them out. But to be fair, they can still do some fair damage to you if you let them go unchecked. If you let them overrun you, that's a completely different story. I very much advise you to not let that happen. Otherwise, you are going to be in some very serious distress. Now, next up are the elites, the annoying enemies. God damn it. I hate snipers. Okay, so snipers in this game, right? Pretty self-explanatory, but they come with two effects, right? Two abilities. One of them is conceal. All snipers will have a 50% chance of concealing every single time that they get hit. Doesn't matter where the hit comes from. If they get touched, that 50% chance kicks in. Conceal means that hero or villain cannot be targeted directly. You would have to use other means like an AoE attack to break the effect or wait the turn out. You essentially have to try and hit them with something that wasn't meant for them in the first place, right? And the other effect is basically like it's a crippling shot. I believe that's the name of the attack. Crippling shot which it basically forces you to discard something from your hand. God damn it, I hate snipers. Okay. Then we have commanders, right? We have different type of commanders. Some of them you'll probably see in the gameplay that you're watching right now. You have commanders that can not only slow you, but also apply a weak status effect as well, which would basically cut your offense in half by 50% for a certain amount of time or turns and whatnot. And then you have other elites that can apply frenzy to their units and also heal them as well. And frenzy basically lets an enemy attack you every time you make a card play. So when you're on your turn and you make a card play, boom, they can attack you on your turn. You make a card play, boom, they can attack you again. You make a card play, boom, they can attack you again. It just keeps going as long as they have frenzy. Like Sabretooth specifically, that man has frenzy just built into his whole kit. So be careful with him. There are even enemies that can force every other unit on the field to target one hero specifically if they get hit. So if you playing with Spider-Man, you hit that specific enemy, they go hoo-hoo. Next thing you know, you got 12 different units on the field all targeting Spider-Man, and you gotta work double times to make sure that he doesn't die on the next turn, because there's a good chance he might die. Now, the game's various villains, right? Hulk, Scarlet Witch, Sabretooth, Venom, and Crossbones will all occasionally, randomly show up to appear and invade your missions. Now, when they do show up, they will show up in the place of regular reinforcements, and they will instantly give you a new objective to complete for that mission. So for example, if your mission is you have to destroy 3 rift charges, and then no matter how many enemies are left, once you destroy the rift charges, you can leave. That changes when the supervillain shows up, because they basically count as a main objective now. Even if you complete the first one, the mission won't end until you make the supervillain leave. You will be stuck there unless you just want to load up another save and you don't want to deal with them. But the good thing here is that because it's a villain ambush and it's not like a mission that's specifically meant for them, which are primarily story missions anyway, they will only have one life, one phase to deal with. So they will be a bit easier in that regard. But don't ease up because these are still supervillains. They are looking to kill you as soon as possible. Actually, no. Venom might just want to suck on your bone marrow and 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 eat your brain first, but that's just him. The enemy types definitely have some strong variety here, and I wasn't able to talk about all of them at the time that this video is being made, but there's definitely a lot for sure. There are some enemies I'm excited for you guys to get a look at because I want to see how you're gonna deal with them. But yeah, that is one thing I can say for sure. There's some strong variety here. You'll learn more about them when you guys get to play the game. Now, moving over into the last big section, which is basically general mechanics. So, the first thing I do want to go over is the moving system, because I know that's something that a lot of players, especially newcomers that are not used to tactics and turn-based games, are curious about. The moving feature is very important, right? Because it's used to set up things like perfect angles, AoE attacks from other characters, environmental attacks, and more. There's even an upgrade where you can knock back enemies by simply moving into their personal space, which provides another free damage option to make use of. Now, each turn will give you one free move, but there are ways through cards and support items to gain extra moves on a turn. Once a hero uses move though, like let's say for example, if you're playing with Scarlet Witch. If you choose to move with Scarlet Witch, you can continue moving around the field with her until you play an ability card, and it doesn't matter whose card it is. The moment you play it, Scarlet Witch can no longer move freely around the field. Speaking of playing cards, that brings us into the next topic, the card plays. So as you can see on the bottom right hand side, I have card plays, redraws, and something else at the bottom that I can't see because my screen is small and my mind is kind of going blank right now. You are granted 3 card plays each turn, but there are definite ways around that. It can either refund a play or give you more card plays as a whole. There are even combat items that can do this as well, and if you're curious about it, whether or not the heroes can affect this mechanic, they can. Example, Doctor Strange has a very specific ability that will grant you 4 card plays on the next turn, giving you an extra option to work with. In terms of refunding, however, there are enemies that can refund a card play when KO'd, allowing you to continue playing your hand. And for enemies that don't have that effect, keywords on cards like quick and marked will refund the card play on KO. For example, Iron Man's marked target ability applies 2 marked and 2 honorable to a specific enemy, or when you upgrade it, you can apply it to an area of enemies, right? Now, that will ensure you will get a card play back on an enemy that you kill with the marked effect. Now, with redraws, right, you will have a total of 2 of those each turn. But just like I said before about the card plays, there are ways to alter this through the use of hero abilities and support items. Redraws are pretty self-explanatory. I don't have to go into much detail about that. Next up are target previews. So if you are paying attention, well, if not, I want you to pay attention now. Go ahead and look at the gameplay. So when this turn is over, you'll see each one of my heroes' icons over somebody's head. Now, this allows you to plan accordingly what you want to do next by allowing you to see which enemy is targeting a hero for the next turn. This will be indicated by the hero's icon over the enemy's head, and that always happens at the start of the turn. So it's up to you to play smart to ensure that your heroes will survive the next turn. There are ways, however, to force a target switch. By example, attacking an enemy with Captain America and one of his abilities has taunt will force that enemy to taunt you, therefore switching the target. Or there are some enemies, primarily elites, that will automatically change their target themselves based off whoever hit them last. And there are also some enemies, and this is something that you're primarily only going to see with pretty much every supervillain, but also only certain elites. Well, certain elites, forgive me, they will not telegraph who it is they're gonna attack. They'll have a question mark over their head. So it'll be a toss up of who it is they're going to go after unless there is a specific keyword in play like taunt. So unless you taunted them with Captain America, then you would know they're going after Captain America. If not, then it's again toss up. Moving on, reusing cards. That's another thing that I wanted to get into, right? So some of you might have noticed that this game doesn't have a discard pile, and the reason for that is very simple. Well, actually, no, let me not say that because I don't know the reason behind it, but I am glad that it doesn't have a discard pile. But just continuing with what it is I was going to say. So, unless the card has an exhaust effect, right, it won't ever leave combat. It simply just goes back into the deck rotation in order for you to use again. And there are ways around that exhaust effect. By example, upgrading a card could essentially remove it, therefore meaning that the card doesn't get removed from combat after you play it, or playing a card beforehand to ensure that the next one you play isn't discarded. Iron Man has a very specific card called Precision, which ensures that the next Iron Man card you play won't be discarded from your hand. So the card just stays in your hand after you play it. If you have the resources needed to play it again, you can do that. If not, it will just sit in your hand until you're ready to play again, and it will just go back to functioning like normal, right? The game not having a discard effect was honestly the best thing in my opinion, right? It's something that wasn't necessarily on my mind from Jump Street, but it's something that I don't mind not having either, right? So no matter what, if you put a card in your deck, you will see it hit your hand, unless the deck RNG just doesn't like you for that mission, because yeah, RNG can be real fickle sometimes. The second to last thing I want to get into, because I didn't get into it earlier, is heroism. That's very important. So heroism is a key mechanic of how the combat works. By looking at the bottom right hand side, you will see the heroism meter, which will track how much you currently have at a given moment. You gain heroism by playing attack and skill cards in various different ways, and when you do that, that meter will continue to fill. Once you have enough, you will be able to play things like heroic cards, which are the flashy and dangerous cards that I talked about earlier, and it's also how you use the environmental attacks as well. Now, other things like passives and support items can also add to your heroism meter, and there are ways to cheat the normal game by using certain cards in effect to essentially double the amount that you get. For example, one of my builds has both a Light Hunter and Iron Man running cards that not only double up on the amount of heroism that you currently have, but it's going to double up on the amount of heroism that you're going to get over the next few turns, which works great for someone like Ghost Rider, who is a heavy heroism character. The system is easy to understand, but once you get it down pat, you'll be able to do some very cool stuff with it. And I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be able to do with it. And I just hit my mic if y'all were wondering what that sound was. Now, getting into the last thing, which is critical attacks, because this is something that a lot of people, I honestly believe, will miss just because of how it's kind of portrayed. Like, I do wish this was like displayed in a better fashion. Like, it looks cool, but I wish it was displayed better. So all damage dealing hero abilities will have a chance to become critical when drawn from the deck, and critical chance and damage are determined by that hero's stats. Now, whenever you have a critical card in hand, right, if you pay attention to the cards that are in my hand, you can see on the left hand side there will be a damage number inside of a sword icon. Now, when the card is a critical card, that sword icon will set on fire. Like, actually, the bottom of the sword will have flames coming down from it. If you go back to the start of this encounter again, you can see that the cards on the far left, the two cards on the far left, Captain America and Nico, will have a flaming sword instead of a normal sword. So the critical attacks are there, right? You just gotta look. Again, I do wish it was displayed better, but it is what it is. And with that all being said, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope that you guys have had a very great time. I hope that this video has been able to, inform you a little bit better and help to shed some light on things. Let me know how you guys feel about the game mechanics, how you feel about the combat. How do you feel knowing that the game is only a couple of days away from release? I know you all are very excited to play it. I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. And again, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so that you won't miss out on any of my Midnight Suns related content, because we have a lot of fun videos coming up in the future and I can't wait for you guys to see them. And I will catch you in the moonlight. Peace.
Trying to the bed, trying to live life. Pull up to the club with the bottles on ice. Need a back end by the end of the night. I'm an artiste and a socialite. Trying to do a big, trying to live life. Pull up to the club with the bottles on ice. Need a back end by the end of the night. I'm an artiste and a socialite.